increasingly small island of sanity where you don't have to be for or against one side or the other simply to be socially acceptable among your friends, so called. So, um, it's in the thumbnail, uh, and this is going to be short because I think it's kind of self-descriptive, but it really does describe a serious flaw, to put it mildly, in the way that COVID is being addressed. And that is that they seem to have forgotten that anything else on the planet still kills people, which I made this point before, but now we've got like an actual CEO of an American insurance company, in this case, One America, saying not only has the death toll, or rather the number of claims that they're getting from during the pandemic increased 40%, which they're saying is unprecedented. But if you actually go to the original article, which I'll post a link to uh, here, actually I can do that right now. Um, let's see if I can actually do that. Can I actually do that? Come on. Okay, I'll post it under. I'll post it later under, well, when I edit the video. Um, I mean, this guy. So he's saying on the one hand we've got a 40% completely unprecedented rise in number of death insurance applications. Or rather not applications, but like people actually dying that we're insuring. And on the other hand, he then immediately goes on to blame every single freaking one of those deaths on COVID. Every, it's all in the article. Every single one, which is like, as a guy who's a CEO for a large insurance company, the fact that he can actually look himself in the mirror and say that proves that he's a complete sociopath and a narcissist. Two, it shows how far these assholes are willing to go to brainwash people, because this is an insurance company saying this. They don't care when and where people die. Their main goal is to avoid paying maintenance as much as possible, because heaven forbid an insurance company actually have to pay people they insure. Right? It's the oldest joke in the book. But what really bugs me about it is basically that essentially he's denying the fact that any of this huge, ridiculous number of insurance claims he's getting, are not possibly the result of anything other than COVID. They couldn't possibly, for example, be the complete failure of the healthcare system, such as it doesn't exist because it doesn't exist in the states. Um, you know, to begin with, but and that was bad. But it was bad enough before. But now, where we're seeing a total failure of not just the healthcare system not working for basically anybody who's not rich, you know, but also simply a basic denial of the fact that science exists, like Twitter deplatforming the guy who literally created the mRNA vaccine. You can't make that shit up, simply because they don't like the fact that he's trying to talk actual science. Like, this is a guy who literally invented the very same technology that Pfizer and the others have used to basically make a shit ton of money in the last 2 years. And I mean, the fact that they're willing to platform that guy should tell you all you need to know about the validity of anything these companies will ever say, or any of their spokespeople. That includes the President of the United States, about COVID. They are willing to go to any length to keep the paranoia going to make more money. It's that simple. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to post a link. You can look at it yourself. You can judge the article for yourself. But I think it kind of makes the point by itself. CEO, One America, big bloody insurance company, has flat out stated We've got a 40% death rise in deaths, at least the ones that we cover, and among the working class. And I am personally going to blame every single one of them on COVID, not on the complete collapse of the healthcare system, not on a huge number of suicides due to people simply having their life completely upended, not an incredibly toxic politicized culture that has existed that COVID is basically because let's be realistic here. COVID has essentially been turned into just another political hammer to use against whatever the designated Ubermensch is. Um, yeah, I mean, don't blame the vaccine or the lack of its actual ability to stop a virus. Don't blame the politicians and the so-called health experts who have been paid off by Pfizer and the other ones. Don't blame CNN or Fox or any of the other big media organizations for doing what they do best, which is distributing terror live and in color. Don't blame, anybody except the people who are actually responsible for this, basically. You know, that's the message they want to get across. Hate thy neighbor. Blame them. Doesn't matter if they're vaccinated. Doesn't matter if they're following all the rules. Doesn't matter. If they wear a mask even when they're outside completely on their own, it doesn't matter. All that matters is don't point your fingers where they actually should be pointed at the people who have been telling you to hate who've been telling you to hate other people rather than look at them. Now, on the other hand, on the other hand, there's a some amount of good news in the fact that the guy's bothered coming out to admit that there's been such a massive jump in deaths. But on the other hand, the fact that he's immediately putting it on COVID is like he kind of forgot anything else will kill people, like mental stress, like being terrified all the time, like being completely uncertain of when the next lockdown's going to come down. Like all this uncertainty and fear and panic and accusations and fingers pointing in every single direction except the right way, you know, and that creates a lot of stress. It fucks people's heads up. It destroys their ability to simply cope, you know. And of course, we're also ignoring deaths from overdoses and other coping methods that people have been increasingly turning to when literally everything that's healthy to do is you're told you cannot do it because you'll get COVID. I mean, I'm in Ontario right now, um, and they've shut down literally everything. And I mean literally everything. Theaters, restaurants, you name it. If it's a healthy activity you can do that is inside and not in your own place, they've shut it down. That's their gift to us for the new year. Fuck those people. They want people to if I didn't know any better, I would say they want people to die from mental breakdowns. Because then they can blame those deaths on COVID. You know, because that's what they want. The more people who die, as long as it's not them, the more people who die and who get seriously ill and who can be misreported, as having died because of COVID, because apparently nothing else kills anybody anymore. If nothing else was killing anybody anymore, Mayor Ford, and I can't believe I'm quoting this guy as a good source for once, but Mayor Ford himself said when he announced the lockdowns, he said, and he was very drunk at the time, he said that even though only 1%, we're only seeing a 1% hospitalization rate. He didn't even say death rate. He said hospitalizations. What more do you need to know? He's and I was talking to a friend who's actually knows somebody who's working inside the hospitals, and he said that the hospitals are 100% behind this bullshit, and the reason why he doesn't regard as bullshit, by the way. The reason why is simple. Because they know that they will crack under the first sign of stress. So all this fear and terror is over 1% hospitalization in Ontario. That's one province in Canada, by the way. In Quebec, well, Quebec is just being Quebec. They're acting like a military dictatorship, but they did that to English speakers, so this is nothing new for them. Um, but the fact that the Ontario and Quebec, for some reason, well, Quebec's obvious, but Ontario continues to be the center for heavy-handed, one-sided lockdowns, even when the premier literally comes out and says, you what we're doing this literally for 1% hospitalization, but we're still going to lock everything. Not one single person is then, in general public is going to catch that and be like, wait, what? 1% hospitalization, and you're shutting down every fucking thing that could be used as that people tend to use to blow off steam. Like, you want people to die from stress, basically. Is that what it comes? Is that what this has turned into? Well, here's what's going to really happen. Aside from people dying from stress, related issues, or homelessness, or being exposed in the winter, or not being able to find shelter, simply go inside from like if you're stuck somewhere and you just want to go inside to warm up for a little bit, get a coffee. You can't do that. At least not according to Ford. All for 1% hospitalization rate. Also, according to Ford, in the same damn speech. So, I don't know, but if that doesn't convince people that the sheer absurdity of these new lockdowns, which have literally taken us all the way back essentially to ground to the first to ground zero. Like, we've literally our politicians have literally told us straight. Those vaccine passports were for nothing. Those vaccines that we kind of basically forced you to get were for nothing because we're locking everything and everybody back down again. So there, and we're also going to completely deny that anything else kills people. You know, Meanwhile, we have to protect our hospitals from a 1% hospitalization rate. I mean, what about car accidents? What about mental illness? What about literally any other cause of hospitalizations? Why is nobody reporting those like they suddenly don't matter anymore? The people who can't even get a hospitalization, who can't even get cancer treatments. Like, I could go on and on about the number of ways why this lockdowns are killing people more effectively than any disease ever could. But I'm not going to do that because I've already done that in previous videos. Anyways, let me know what you think down below, or don't. But I think we're now officially at a turning point where where the powers that be have officially descended straight down into the era of into an age of insanity. Where they're officially made their position known that they will completely deny anything other than COVID as being the reason why people are dying. What more do you need to know? Anyways, this has been John Martell of the Middle Ground, just trying to keep my head on that ever-shrinking island. Signing off.